The story begins one morning when the main character wakes to see his father flying off to work, while his mother, now with 3 heads and 6 hands, prepares breakfast at triple speed. Breakfast speed runs are now officially a thing, and here a thought comes to his mind. If wishes really came true, what wish would he ask for? Because this is a story of a wonderland, where in just one night everything changed, and yet nothing truly changed at all. Denial remains undefeated. A little flashback shows our boy with a fresh punch still aching on his face, lost deep in his thoughts. He recalls how whenever he barely talks to someone, a random punch always seems to land on him. His face has basically joined a loyalty program for bruises, yet he somehow manages to console himself each time in one way or another. That evening he separates himself completely from the noise of the city and sits on a bench, still thinking about the beating he received. Suddenly, a girl places her hand on his head and asks if he has gotten into another fight today, then teases him by calling him a kiddo. Instant ego drop detected. Angrily, he tells her not to call him kiddo, insisting he is not a child and that next year he will be moving on to high school. The girl apologizes, saying she just cannot resist teasing him, and once again calls him kiddo to mock him. The boy sitting on the bench is named Kodera Kotaru, a junior in his 3rd year, and the girl with him, whom he calls Akogi-san, is a high schooler, which to him is basically another species. Kotaru thinks to himself that his uneventful afternoons always pass in the same way, sitting here and talking with Akogi. She asks if he has started fighting again, and he tells her he took a punch without even hitting back. She bursts out laughing, then asks if he really enjoys spending time here. He replies that it is not like that. He only comes because their cram school on the 2nd floor nearby. Sitting there, he thinks the real reason he comes is simply to pass the time, nothing more. After all, he is in junior high while she seems like a high school student, so there is no chance of any romance between them. He does not even know Akogi's real name, which in his mind proves his point. Just then, Akogi rises from her seat, picks up her guitar, strums the final few notes, and creates a closing scene. Somewhere, a cat cries in solidarity. At that moment, Kotaru nudges her and tells her that her performance still sucks. She replies that at least she looked cool, but Kotaru jokes that instead of playing her originals, she should practice some covers. Akogi insists she has put a lot of effort into it, yet Kotaru calls out to her and asks if she doesn't feel embarrassed when people laugh at her after seeing her performance. Akogi looks at him with a playful grin and asks if he wants to give it a go. Hearing her words, Kotaru is left stunned, his expression frozen in surprise. Akogi, without losing her ease, tells him that perhaps this might open his eyes to an entirely new world. Spoiler: he's not buying the ticket. He simply tells her that it obviously will not work and walks away. On the path, he thinks to himself that it could never happen. The sun would never rise from the west. He would never win the lottery, nor would he ever wake up one morning with countless powers. In his mind, dreams never come true. And the real reason is that he keeps no silly dreams for himself. During this, memories of some bad experiences from his past life resurface, and he wonders aloud that he does not really know, but is it truly such a big deal if someone has dreams at all? He sits there, sinking into depression, growing angry with himself, and thinks that he knows people also realize things will never go according to their plans. Then, with that thought, he stands up, deciding he does not need to see any of this to understand it, because he knows this world will never change, and just as that thought settles in his mind, a great light suddenly descends from the sky toward the earth. Not the kind of spotlight he was hoping for. The light crashes straight onto the ground, sending everything nearby bouncing and scattering away. Cars, people, and even our MC. Around him, people turn to one another in shock, asking if everyone is all right, what just happened, and what that was. Kotaru too wonders what kind of sick joke this is. What is happening here? Is it a meteor or maybe an earthquake? He cannot make any sense of what is going on, and as he looks around, he is left utterly astonished. He thinks over it all, certain there is no chance of such a thing happening. It does not even seem like what it is. It feels more like a factory explosion or maybe a community blast. Then suddenly he remembers that his mother might also be outside to get some groceries. He forces himself to calm down, reassuring himself that the sun will not rise from the west, everything will be fine, and nothing will truly go wrong. Just then, he runs back home and finds his parents already watching the news on TV, where an emergency broadcast is airing. A news report announces a UFO has made an emergency landing, and anchors in the studio debate the situation. The broadcast shows the landing site, a baseball field, but the crater's shape barely resembles anything a UFO would make. Meanwhile, the news anchors continued to comment and speculate, while on the other side, Kotaru's parents grow worried, knowing this thing could have caused serious damage. His father, ignoring the news, asks him if he got into another fight today. Kotaru is stunned, unable to believe that in such a panic-filled situation, after everything that just happened, his father would ask this. But then his father explains that for him, his son is more important than anything else, because he cares for him. Hearing this, Kotaru falls silent. He thinks he should calm down now since his parents are safe and no major injuries have been reported. If this UFO, alien, or whatever it is really happened, the news will not be able to hide it for long. The truth will come out. And just then, the news anchor raises the question of what effect this UFO's emergency landing will have on the Earth. The news anchors comment that the UFO's impact could throw Earth off balance, making strange things happen, even people's wishes coming true. Panicking, Kotaru asks his parents why the TV is saying this. His father tells him to stay calm. They just say common sense will no longer make sense, but Kotaru cannot grasp what that means. Hearing this, Kotaru is left shocked. What does it mean that common sense will not work, that strange things will happen, and wishy-washy desires will come true so easily? His father responds that maybe it was just a shooting star that fell to the ground, but Kotaru only panics more, feeling as if he is dreaming, and tells himself he just needs to calm down, because once he wakes up in the morning, all of this will be over. Narrator already knows that's wishful thinking. As soon as he wakes up and steps out of his room in the morning, he sees people flying across the sky, and even his father soaring off to the office. Inside the house in the kitchen, his mother cheerfully says that his father had to learn flying anyway, since there is never any space left on the train. She herself is quite pleased too, now that she has 3 heads and 6 hands, making everything much easier for her. Every multitasker's fantasy unlocked. Kotaru wonders how his mother can take all of this so lightly, while she tells him he should also learn how to fly. Kotaru listens to her words, letting them sink into him. But after stepping outside, he does try, only to suddenly fall and crash flat on the ground. Gravity still remains undefeated to him. Lying there on the grass, he is approached by a tiny person who asks if he is all right. Kotaru replies that yes, he is fine, and that he was definitely not trying to fly. Just then, he notices that the tiny figure is actually sitting on a dog's head, a little gnome. Shocked, Kotaru lets out a shout, but the gnome tells him this was his wish, because he wanted to sneak into the girl's bath. At that moment, a policeman arrives, grabs the gnome, and tells Kotaru he never thought catching crime would turn out to be this easy. Literally, a world record for shortest police chase. Just then, he opens YouTube and finds a video showing the sun rising from the west. Seeing this, he is stunned, realizing it has truly happened. The world has changed, and now people are living according to their wishes. After seeing mysterious things all around, he is deeply astonished and thinks this must be truly amazing. Even if it is only a dream, feels like his brain is on movie mode. Still, witnessing all of it leaves him completely stunned. And while walking, he eventually reaches Akogi, who is at her usual spot playing the guitar. He thinks that everything around him has changed, yet he himself has not. He's still running on the old version. In that moment, memories from his past life resurface in his mind. And as Akogi strums her guitar, she notices him and, setting it aside, cheerfully asks how it is, kiddo. He replies that, as always, it is hopelessly horrible. Nothing like being downgraded to a toddler in one word. The two sit together, talking calmly about the world. Kotaru shares that he absolutely dislikes the stupid things people do, especially boys who are always trying to impress girls or those seeking recommendations to join the national team. He begins discussing these behaviors in detail. He thinks that he never liked the things around him and always wanted everything to change. But now, with the world already changed, he wishes for things to change even more, starting with himself. Here, a full personality update is still pending. He tells Akogi that he is glad she has remained unchanged, and now he wants to transform himself. At that moment, Akogi calls out to him. He asks her if she is cute, and at that moment, juice spills from his mouth. Romantic scenes never account for gravity. He is left completely shocked, unsure how to respond, while Akogi explains that she only wanted to be cool, not cute. Kotaru listens intently to her words. She explains that she once really wanted transformation gears instead of the usual plushies, and that she had wanted a black school bag instead of the pink one. Her rebellion started with a color swap. Her parents had constantly warned her not to behave like a boy, yet she had managed to restrain herself. Gradually, she begins sharing all the stories of her life with Kotaro. Then she asks him if being truly different from others is really so wrong. She tells him that she doesn't think that just because everyone else is changing, she should change too. Change is not mandatory, however, when you truly believe that you want to change, that's when you should. It sounds deep, but feels like a fortune cookie line. After a moment of silence, Kotaro tells her that this scene feels quite rare because Akogi has never talked about herself like this before, and today she is also trying to cheer him up. Much is happening differently. Seeing this, Akogi smiles and says she should tell him something. She then, with a hint of happiness, tells him that this is all a goodbye because she is truly going to Tokyo. Hearing this, a brief silence falls between them. His heart drops like a bad phone signal. Kotaro is left astonished. Akogi explains that she will leave in the morning, and once there, she can pursue her life in music, seeing how far she can go. She has saved enough from her part-time job, so finances won't be an issue. But to Kotaro, it all still feels like a joke. Hearing this, Kotaro fires a long list of questions at her. He is also surprised to learn that Akogi had been supposed to complete her studies but chose to leave. Growing even more curious, he asks if there is no elder at her home to question her decisions, because in his view, Akogi shouldn't need to go to Tokyo at all. To stop her, Kotaro also tells Akogi that even in this no-name town, when she performs, people laugh at her. In Tokyo, with her skills, people will mock her even more. He explains that all of this will not work out for her, so she shouldn't do it. But at that moment, Akogi places her hand lightly on his head. She lies close to his head, kisses the top of his head, and whispers in his ear that she is sorry for making Kotaro her word. Just as Kotaro is about to say something, she tells him to take care of himself on the way home and calls him by his name instead of kiddo. Seeing this, Kotaro sits there quietly, thinking to himself that Akogi shouldn't treat him like a child, yet he feels happy knowing that she truly remembers his name. He returns home and lies down on his bed. As he lies there, he notices his brother's guitar and memories of him start to surface, with her words swirling through his mind. He remembers that his brother used to perform in front of many people here, and was always very happy. Whenever anyone asked about him, he felt proud. His brother's videos often went viral, but one day his brother told him that he was going to Tokyo and that he would join a band there. Hearing this, Kotaro felt a little empty inside. And then, after some time, when his brother leaves, the rest of the band stays behind. People show him videos of his brother on their phones, asking him to see how well his brother is playing. He asks softly when the play will start, but no one hears him because the music is so loud nearby. He tries again, still unheard. Meanwhile, his brother, now in Tokyo, is getting ready for his concert, where a manager comes to receive him. Kotaro, back home, thinks to himself that for the first time in his life, he said some mean things to his brother. All of these feelings leave him disappointed and embarrassed, like a messy stop in his heart. He thinks that he was always very proud of his brother and wanted to be like him, but instead he only ended up frustrated, saying hurtful things to him. And now he remembers Akogi, with whom he used to spend his evenings. She would talk happily, sharing details about her practice. Once, when someone complimented one of her songs as a nice song, she was overjoyed that day and shared the moment only with Kotaro. Now he lies on his bed, crying, knowing that whatever his brother did, he did it for his passion. He knows his brother better than anyone and is certain that he will play much better now compared to when he was here. He gets up from his bed, thinking about Akogi, and her words echo in his mind, that just because everyone around you changes, it doesn't mean you have to change yourself, unless a change naturally comes from within. Hearing this, he suddenly jumps from his bed, flings open his room door, and runs outside in his night suit. Seeing the early morning, he hurries, thinking he might not reach in time. At that moment, Akogi is standing on the platform, waiting for the train that will take her to Tokyo. Meanwhile, a battle rages in Kotaro's heart and mind. His mind insists that he will never see Akogi again, while his heart urges him to meet her one last time. His mind complains that it would be too embarrassing, but his heart argues that it's okay, since he is already carrying his own embarrassment inside. Meanwhile, Akogi sits inside her train, ready to begin her journey. Kotaro rushes toward the platform because he wants to see her before she leaves. He feels he must go, driven by his desire to change and to tell Akogi how he feels. But he grows exhausted, and by the time he reaches the platform, he sees that the train is already soaring into the sky. He shouts after it, asking them to wait for him, but it's too late. His mind races with one thought: if he could start flying like his father, maybe he could catch up, but all his efforts fail. Now he sits on the ground, thinking that he should give it one last try. As he braces himself to fly, his father calls out from behind, telling him to use his fart. Hearing this, he is stunned, wondering what exactly his father is doing here and why he said that. He turns to look at his father, who explains that the fart breaks the air, so he should use it. Hearing this, Kotaro feels quite disgusted that his father has been flying like this all this time, and he insists he won't do it. Yet he steels himself to try, knowing he has no other option now. His father prepares him for flight, instructing him to relax his shoulders, take slightly deeper breaths, and gather all the gases in his body into his butt. This training method should come with a health warning. After stretching every part of his body, he is now ready to release his fart at the perfect angle, propelling himself into the air. With one powerful push, he suddenly soars high above the ground, and he begins to understand the sensation. At first he feels scared, but then he starts to enjoy it. Now propelled by his fart, he directs himself toward Akogi, who notices him just as he approaches. So much for a dramatic surprise entrance. The scene feels intense to him, as he experiences happiness like never before in his life, though he doesn't know why. Meanwhile, Akogi calls out to him from the train, and he propels himself further with his fart to get closer, while his father shouts up from below. His father warns him not to push himself too hard, or he could lose his flatulence. Hearing this, Akogi also asks if he's really flying using farting, and points out that it's very dangerous here. She tells him he should either go back or catch the train. Meanwhile, Kotaro is sweating profusely from embarrassment. Looking at her, he suddenly shouts that he wants to apologize for every stupid thing he ever said to her. It had taken him a long time to realize that he had truly been a foolish kid. Hearing this, Akogi is equally surprised. Shouting at her, he tells her that she should take care of herself, knowing how hard she has worked in her life. After wishing her good luck, his farting power runs out, and he begins descending toward the ground. During this, he keeps shouting various advice, like eat properly and sleep well, and other such things. She's basically parenting him in midair. As he falls back toward the ground, he awkwardly waves goodbye, his hands clumsy and unsure. He thinks to himself that he has no fancy words or a bouquet for her, but still, he notices one thing. Akogi still looks very cool. She mentions the usual teasing that next time when they meet, she might even kiss him. After landing back on the ground, he watches her journey and thinks to himself that maybe he could have told her he has quite a crush on her. At that moment, his father comes over, remarking that he has grown up, but Kotaro knows it doesn't change anything. Nothing special has really changed. Growth is quieter than he expected. He tells his father that he has simply started to recognize himself. After that, his father flies off into the sky, returning to his usual work. While at home, his mother prepares breakfast at an even faster pace than usual. Thinking about Akogi, he asks himself what life she would live if her wishes really came true. After all, this is a wonderland, a place where everything has changed overnight, yet somehow nothing has changed at all. Same soul, just in a slightly stranger world. Since the UFO incident, everyone's life has turned chaotic. No one knows whether it was some cosmic power or a miracle, but people's wishes have begun to come true. Salarymen are flying across the sky, dinosaurs have become the third most popular pets, and the world feels unrecognizable. Somehow, goldfish are still number one. Yet in the middle of all this strangeness stands another hero, Nakayamashita Takashi. Unlike others, he didn't gain any special wishes, and he felt his life hadn't really changed much at all since that day. A girl shows up at his house today, claiming she has come to repay the debt of being saved by him. She introduces herself as Tanya, and reveals that she was once a red-crowned crane, now turned human, and she has come to return the favor. Job descriptions have really diversified lately. Hearing this, Takashi blushes deeply, surprised by what she is saying. Tanya explains that she is a migratory bird from Russia, and he remembers that some time ago he had saved a crane. She confirms that she is that very crane and has come to return the favor. This reminds Takashi of an old story, The Grateful Crane Tale, where a crane repays its savior by caring for them, and Tanya tells him that she has come to do exactly the same. She skips over the part about gift receipts. But suddenly, Takashi's mind shifts to the second part of the story. The crane had actually hidden its true identity. Why then is she telling him this? Honesty is rarely this punctual. Hearing this, Tanya looks at him, slightly excited, and he finds himself momentarily speechless. She says that it was nice meeting him. Takashi thinks that everything seems to have ended before it even began. Story arcs are on a tight budget these days. Then Tanya pulls out a book and starts examining its contents, knowing she might have said something wrong. The book is actually the very story script, containing all the dialogues and scenes. Takashi asks her that if she already has all of this written down, why hasn't she performed according to it? Tanya, flustered, says that she has nowhere to stay and has even given up being a crane. Air travel's loss is public transportation's gain. Takashi looks at her and explains that his wish had been to be with a cute girl who would return his favor, fulfilling all the desires he had for her. Yet now he feels that all these thoughts ended before they even began. Tanya reassures him that perhaps what is happening is turning out for the best. Tanya continues, saying that she was quite depressed at first because she wondered how she would live in this dump area. Hearing this, Takashi angrily tells her she shouldn't say such things. She responds that she knows, but she's also seen the bright side here. Takashi replies that though it may be a dump, it's his own dump. Interior design remains optional. At that moment, something suddenly comes to Takashi's mind. He wonders why, unlike the crane in the story that leaves after being found out, Tanya hasn't left yet. She admits that she has no idea herself, so she doesn't know. They watch the world around them slowly passing by, sitting in silence, facing each other, until suddenly, Tanya vanishes. A little later, he hears the bell of his house. As he rushes outside to see, he finds Tanya standing there, signaling a fresh start and telling him that she wants to apologize for imposing on him like that. Along with that, she explains that she is a simple traveler who lost her way and wants to stay at his house, promising in return that she will take care of him and his household. At that moment, Takashi warmly welcomes her into his home in a completely new way. And so, through a simple redo, Takashi turns his dream of living with a mysterious beauty into reality, and he begins staying with her. Today marks the 7th consecutive day with her. Early in the morning, he gets up, chops some meat, and prepares breakfast. He carefully arranges it in a large tiffin box, decorating it with a cute cat face, and leaves it ready while Tanya is still asleep. And here Pinterest has claimed another victim. After finishing all the work, the alarm rings and Tanya bangs it. He comes over and tells her that it's already time to get up, but still half asleep, she asks for 5 more minutes of sleep. After a while, he gets ready, tells her he's off to school, and leaves breakfast in the fridge for her. She gives him a warm wave goodbye. The wave is 80% politeness, 20% don't forget to pay the bills. He reminds her to close the door when she goes out, and then he happily begins a new day at school. As he walks through this mysterious world, he wonders if he's truly himself. He thinks about Tanya, realizing she hasn't yet returned his favor, while he ends up doing all the household tasks she should have handled according to the crane's ways. Then he reasons that perhaps she needs some time to adjust to this world, and since everyone has their own rules, he should give her that space. World adjustment comes with no manual, only receipts. But when he gets home, Tanya responds that how could a bird be expected to do household chores, all while munching on chips? In anger, he flicks one back at her. Afterward, Tanya asks if he's lost his mind, throwing it from the 2nd floor like that, while Takashi, frustrated, snaps that he didn't like her way of replying, knowing she hasn't made any effort to return the favor yet. In response, Tanya tells him that she knows whenever she's bathing, he sneakily peeks at her. But from this, she realizes that he's actually happy with their living arrangement. Takashi panics, knowing Tanya is aware of all this behavior, while she adds that he even took her used towel. Yet despite all that, she didn't feel the need to stop him. Hearing this, Takashi blushes heavily, confused about what Tanya is saying. She explains that she's a crane and doesn't really know how to function in human society, nor how to make a gentleman happy. So if he ever feels any desire, they can share something together. Hearing this, Takashi panics even more. But immediately realizing the weight of her words, Tanya says that if anything like that happens, she wants the justice system to work properly. Takashi feels that this reveals all of Tanya's understanding of human society, while she knows nothing else. He tells her to stop playing with a boy's pure heart, knowing that another human will come along who will take care of her. Tanya, however, stays silent. Tanya says that's not true and asks why he really desires the favor so much. Takashi replies that it's because she mentioned it herself when she first came. Tanya then says she's going to her room and instructs him not to open the door until she calls him. Takashi panics, realizing that the part of the story has arrived where the crane will secretly weave clothes from behind the door in bird form. She sits inside the room and tells him not to come in until she calls. Meanwhile, he notices her tablet and Switch and asks what she's eating, but she insists he stay out of her room. He's surprised by the concept of her room, and just then, a news anchor's voice comes through, alerting everyone to a scam. She explains that after the world changed, a new scam emerged. Young girls running away from their homes would go to other foolish young men, claiming they were cranes sent to return a favor, and under that pretense, make the men serve them in their homes. Takashi is equally stunned. It's not his preferred afternoon plot twist. He looks toward Tanya, who is smiling and switches off the TV. Suddenly, she starts doing the housework and says that there really is no scam. She is genuinely a crane. Takashi panics, wondering why she's actually doing chores since she supposedly didn't know how. He asks her about this, and she shouts back that she knew something was wrong. Takashi notices that she can even speak Japanese and knows a lot about the justice system. Meanwhile, he sees Tanya becoming slightly shy in his presence. Suddenly, she kneels before him and begs him not to throw her out of the house. Takashi is shocked. How can she apologize so earnestly without hesitation? She explains that she has nowhere else to go, so she's asking for his mercy. Takashi hesitates, having nothing else to say, and asks her if she's really a crane or just a girl trying to stay here. Mercy, as it turns out, has no refund policy. Ashamed, she tells him that it's impossible for her to stay by his side, but even so, she wants to do everything she can to repay his favor. Hearing this, Takashi suddenly blushes. He loses his composure and, with slight hesitation, tells her that he is not against her staying here, while in truth he finds her cute and enjoys talking to her. Yet having someone like that in the house, aside from siblings and parents who usually wait for you, feels strange, making the situation complicated for him, but not unpleasant. He still feels Tanya should return home, but the moment she hears this, she cries harder, begging him not to say such things, calling him Takashi-sama. Takashi sighs, saying that if she really ran away, then there must be some reasons behind it, but she should properly report everything to the authorities, because even if she were only a crane, her kindness has been wasted. Now he tells her what really happened when he went to save her some time ago. While walking, he noticed the injured crane lying there. He had no decent reason to rescue it, and he even thought someone else might come to save it. But the only reason he returned was to put an end to his own guilt. He thinks if someday a rhino beetle saves him, he would never transform into one just to repay the favor, because he knows nothing about that world. For him, it's enough that she returned for his sake, and he can understand there are reasons why she's not going back. He suggests that he will help her find a way back home, wishing she could become a crane again, but until she can repay the favor, she may stay here. At this, she grows a little uneasy, and Takashi quickly asks if he said something wrong. A brief silence falls before she asks if this means that once she repays his favor, she won't be able to stay here anymore. Saying this leaves her visibly troubled, and Takashi too grows increasingly uneasy, when suddenly Tanya reveals that she also knows what happened that day. She tells him that the day he looked into her eyes, he decided she would just leave her. Romance novels rarely start this way. Takashi's hair looks like a bird's nest, and his face isn't her type at all, yet even so, she still turned toward him to protect him. Hearing this, Takashi is left wondering if she just praised him or roasted him. She knows that day Takashi had called every vet in the area because he kept running around, carrying it in his arms, trying his best to save it. He thought the cranes wouldn't understand his things, yet he tried everything. She kept watching him, and even when he helped, she was still watching him. It's half gratitude, half free entertainment. She tells Takashi that she kept watching him, even though she knew she was a crane and he was a human, yet still she couldn't stop. Hearing this, Takashi grows even more curious and blushes. His heartbeat races faster, panic rising in his chest, while Tanya calmly continues, telling him she thought she'd have to explain in clear words. When he saved her, something stirred inside her, a feeling that maybe kind-hearted people still exist, and perhaps Takashi is one of them. Hearing this, Takashi's panic only deepens. Panic has recently upgraded to deluxe mode. Tanya explains that it felt like Takashi is the only boy who would definitely care for her, fulfill her every need, and do so without a single complaint. Hearing this, Takashi's face hardens in anger. He snaps at her to get out, furious because this was not the answer he was expecting. He tells her that a little while ago he said she shouldn't play like that with a pure-hearted boy, so Tanya replies it was a joke. Then he asks which part of her words was the joke, and Tanya says, as he now knows who he is dealing with, so does he still want her to stay with him to repay the favor? Takashi pauses for a moment, then tells her that of course it's something he wants. Tanya lights up and says that this means she can finally start living with him, since no other girl could possibly manage to stay by his side anyway. Hearing this, he raises an eyebrow and asks if that power dynamic shift wasn't a bit too fast. In the middle of their banter, a doorbell suddenly rings, but doorbells are never on schedule before. And they see a girl standing across the door and says she's sorry for posing in his life like this, but she's the turtle he saved a while ago. Hearing this story, Tanya suddenly shouts at her to get out, but Takashi wants her to listen to the whole thing first. Then the girl says she has come to repay her favor to Takashi, but Tanya claims she's first. The narrative shifts to another story after the UFO incident, where a family sits in a restaurant enjoying their meal. Suddenly, the parents feel full, but the girl insists she still wants to eat more. Clearly, her stomach runs on unlimited data. They tell Ritsu that she shouldn't eat that much, while she still keeps craving things like fried chicken, shrimp, and fish. She wants her stomach to stay full all the time because she wishes to eat whatever she wants and as much as she wants. Dreams powered by fried chicken are dangerous. Following Ritsu's life, we see that she is a high school student. At school, wherever she goes, she lectures everyone about the rules, expecting them to follow them. Everyone thinks Yuzuki is extremely uptight, while she should allow people a little freedom to do things the way they like. Fun is not in her vocabulary, unless it's on the menu. But Yuzuki firmly tells them that they should not confuse freedom with disorder, because the real priority is to maintain order. Here, she introduces herself. Her name is Ritsu Uzuki. She poses a question: what does a human need to truly be human? And her answer is order. But she thinks that ever since the UFO incident, people have become quite disordered. She notices that even animals have certain rules, and humans without rules are no better than animals. Somewhere, a raccoon rolls its eyes. It's good that everyone's wishes come true, but even then, they should not forget to follow their rules. Meanwhile, a boy spots her eating in the hallway. She calls out to him, telling him that eating in the hallway is forbidden. During this, her stomach growls loudly, surprising the boy, while Yuzuki manages to control her growling just a little. The boy offers her some food, but she angrily tells him she doesn't want to eat. Her stomach files a formal complaint. He also warns her not to eat in the hallway. The boy then says that if she's really that hungry, she can go to the cafeteria, jokingly adding that he definitely won't share his food. Yuzuki stands there, feeling quite embarrassed. The boy looks at Yuzuki, quite surprised, and asks if her wish has been fulfilled, that her stomach will never feel empty. Yuzuki tells him that she can eat as much as she wants and whenever she wants, but deep down she knows she cannot endure an empty stomach for long. So she explains that her parents had decided to prepare a lunchbox for her every day so that she never feels hungry. The boy asks if she ever questioned any of this, and Yuzuki asks if he can call her by the name Sashimi. He agrees. Then she gives him an example. Has he ever gone to a restaurant where, upon seeing the menu, he feels like ordering one thing, but after ordering it, he realizes he actually wanted to order something else? She explains that this is why girls, when they eat, order different dishes so they can share them. But she wants all the food for herself. During this, she starts talking about the food she likes and wonders how all these flavors must taste. She knows she will share all these tasting experiences with her body. And there she takes a tall stance, eating until she feels fully satisfied. She eats without caring about filling up too quickly, nor is she worried about gaining weight. After hearing all this, Sashimi is quite stunned. Yuzuki stands in front of him, frozen in a pose. Suddenly, Yuzuki admits that she has been a little overpassionate. Sashimi thinks it's obviously a mistake and comes in front of her, eating fried chicken. He offers her a piece, asking if she wants to eat it, and saliva dribbles from her mouth. But suddenly, she regains control and says that she doesn't want to break the rules because eating in the hallway is forbidden. Sashimi tells her that if she stays quiet, no one would care about this rule anyway. Still, she follows the rules. Sashimi brings a piece of chicken in front of her, asking if she wants to eat it. She drools heavily, unable to stop herself, but still insists that she never said she wanted the food. Then Sashimi decides that he will eat it himself and puts the piece of chicken into his mouth. Yuzuki watches, her eyes filled with envy. Curious, she asks him how the piece of chicken tastes. He tells her that even while cold, it's quite delicious. At that moment, Yuzuki's stomach starts growling, and Sashimi finds her very interesting and entertaining. He asks if her name is really Yuzuki, and she confirms that it is. Then he puts the piece of chicken straight into her mouth and mentions that he has another piece, so she can have that too. After eating the piece, Yuzuki feels very happy. It tastes incredibly delicious, and she can't control her joy. Sashimi watches, astonished. He just witnessed a culinary crime scene. Yuzuki explains that, just as she thought, it was cold, but still very delicious. Sashimi asks Yuzuki what she'll do now that she's broken her own rule. She's stunned, aware she gave in, and that he made her eat it. To him, it was just one piece of chicken, so her reaction catches him off guard. He then asks, if her wish is real, why suppress her desires so much? Maybe, he suggests, she should start being a little more honest with them. He takes Yuzuki out of school with him so she can satisfy her desires and her hunger. But Yuzuki tells him that buying anything while leaving school would be against the school rules. He takes her to a nearby cafe, famous for its wide variety of dishes. Sashimi remarks that he can tell Yuzuki might break the rules for food, but she insists she never will. Even at the restaurant, she vows not to eat on the way home, determined to uphold the rules and protect order. The rules don't stand a chance against dessert. And within seconds, she starts eating all the dishes, tasting each one and getting compliments. Sashimi watches, excited as she keeps eating plate after plate. She's filled with joy and surprise at how much she ate and how satisfied she feels. When she asks if it's really okay, Sashimi assures her it is. She claims she only stopped him from taking a detour, but he says she actually helped by eating the extra rice bowl. Knowing that's not true, she gives a sheepish thanks. When he asks again, she just says, I didn't say anything. On the way back, Yuzuki feels very happy and asks if Sashimi is okay. Sashimi says yes. He's also glad that Yuzuki is satisfied. She mentions that it's been a long time since she felt so well satisfied after a meal and wonders how to thank him. Step 1. Don't eat him. He suggests that they should go to a second restaurant now. After that, he takes Yuzuki to another restaurant, and after eating there, he takes her to yet another. In this way, Yuzuki and Sashimi eat at several places one after another. Watching her eat, Sashimi blushes deeply and says that he could never get tired of seeing Yuzuki eat like this. Apparently, watching her chew is his new hobby. Hearing this, Yuzuki suddenly stops and starts blushing herself. After that, Yuzuki begins to eat, but mutters that he's a bad person. By then, night falls, and on the way back, Yuzuki sits in a depressed mood, thinking that she has done many wrong things, having broken several school rules. Sashimi notices and tells her that she's starting to worry again, or perhaps that she's beginning to feel hungry once more. He calls her over and states he just wants to check one thing. He looks at her closely and asks if she's hiding anything, if there's something she hasn't told him yet. Yuzuki says there's nothing like that. She explains that she eats everything she wants and whenever she wants, but her stomach is still growling, which means she's still hungry. Her hunger clearly skipped the concept of full. Sashimi tells her that first they should think about whether she has eaten enough, whether she ate as much as her desire demanded or not. Then he wants to ask Yuzuki another question. At that moment, Yuzuki blushes deeply and becomes very nervous, unsure of what Sashimi will ask. He then asks her what her definition of food is, what she thinks about it. Yuzuki begins listing a long definition of food. After listening to her, Sashimi simply tells her that he has no objections to anything she said. Yuzuki asks him what he is referring to. At that moment, Yuzuki tells Sashimi to take a step back. Sashimi asks why, and she says she just wants him to stay a little distance away. Feeling slightly down, Yuzuki shares that a few days ago, she had seen a candy store where candies were displayed like jewelry, and she loved the taste. They were incredibly delicious. Sashimi is surprised and asks what she's talking about. Yuzuki assures him not to get the wrong idea, explaining that she did this only once and found it quite strange. She adds that she had smelled the candy crystals that day. This is how dentists have nightmares. Sashimi, however, says that such crystals don't even exist. Yuzuki explains that she had even touched the crystal with her hands. As she brought it close to her tongue, it melted immediately, releasing an elegant sweetness. She's talking about the same crystal she found at the candy store, which in reality was actually a piece of jewelry. Some girls wear diamonds. She snacks on them. She looks at Sashimi and asks if all this isn't strange, pointing out that she can eat whatever she wants. This, she says, truly makes the whole situation quite strange. She explains that she eats everything, even things that don't normally look like food. She clarifies that she didn't try this repeatedly. She only tried it once, and after that, she stuck to normal food. As she continues talking, he suddenly takes out his phone and intentionally puts it near her mouth, silencing her. For a second, there's complete silence, but then she takes a bite and finds the taste surprisingly sweet, like pie. Shishimi is shocked that she actually took a bite of his phone. Yuzuki angrily tells him that no one should examine another person's body without permission. But he asks again what the phone felt like, how it tasted to her. Yuzuki doesn't answer, but he insists that he needs an answer honestly. Excited, he holds out his phone toward Yuzuki, but instead of seeing the phone, she sees a pie. Shishimi tells her that she can eat as much as she wants, because he wants to watch her enjoy her food. Yuzuki hesitates, saying she won't do it because it feels too strange. Shishimi reminds her that she already took a bite, and Yuzuki knows he might get upset, but he says that he is giving his phone by his permission, so she should go ahead. Yuzuki steps forward again and takes another bite. As she takes the bite, it tastes so good that she looks up at the sky, laughing with joy. Somewhere, a chef just lost his job to a phone. She remarks to herself that it's crispy, crunchy, and incredibly delicious. Seeing this, Shishimi becomes even more excited and happy, while Yuzuki thinks to herself that she has always been cautious in such matters. But after that, Shishimi starts offering Yuzuki all sorts of tools and medicines he comes across to eat. To Yuzuki, it still feels like eating, and she even tastes them as if they were food. As she continues trying these things, she enjoys them immensely, realizing she never imagined she could do this. After that, he continues to give her other similar tools to chew. The more she nibbles, the happier she becomes, enjoying it so much that Shishimi also feels satisfied and excited. Yuzuki's curiosity continues to grow, and she finds the experience increasingly pleasurable. Completely full from eating, Yuzuki lies down on the ground and says that she has eaten plenty today, while Shishimi is also exhausted from feeding her so much. They both hit their calorie quota for the decade. Later, he asks Yuzuki if she is satisfied now. She replies that his interests haven't ended yet. Shishimi says that he could never get tired of watching her eat. At that moment, Yuzuki sits up facing him, rests her head on his lap, and tells him that he is a bad person. After that, she opens her mouth while looking into Shishimi's eyes, feeling a craving to eat him. Shishimi is now quite surprised, unsure of what to do next. The scene shifts to a new day in Wonderland for Yuzuki. She sits in one spot, enjoying fast food while many people chat around her. She orders a burger for herself and starts eating it. It tastes incredibly delicious, and Yuzuki thinks that after the UFO incident, she has learned something important. She can buy food wherever she wants. This feels like a good thing because now she has become a little more honest with herself. She also made a friend who comes along to eat with her, each going to their own spot. Looking at Shishimi, she asks him why he arrived so late today. He tells her that yesterday she had scared him, thinking she might eat him. In his defense, her bite radius is genuinely terrifying. Yuzuki explains that she thought he was teasing her, so she played a little prank on him in return. Meanwhile, Shishimi snatches the burger from her hands. She thinks that her stomach is still growling, but the main reason is that she can't fully control herself, a side effect she knows. Still, she understands that self-control is very important. At that moment, he asks her what else she wants to eat. After that, they walk together down the street, chatting about the food as they go. They look like best friends in public, but deep down, it's just two predators circling the last French fry. At that moment, Yuzuki reflects to herself that after all, if she eats it, then it's all gone. Tanya explains that until the favor is returned, her true identity remains secret, so delaying it actually benefits her, letting her continue her crane story. Meanwhile, Takashi had only asked for a simple favor, and he's starting to think that might have been his first mistake. Over a month has passed since the UFO incident, and the two have been living together. But Takashi suspects Tanya has no intention of repaying the favor. One day during a game, he brings it up casually. Tanya meets him with an indifferent stare, and Takashi, pretending it doesn't bother him, dives back into the game, denial being his most developed skill tree. Later, Tanya leans on his shoulder and quietly says he still doesn't get it. If she returns the favor, she'd lose her reason for staying, and she doesn't want that. Basically, she's on a long-term house guest subscription plan. Because she knows that if she did that, no one would want to keep any self-declared crane girl at their home. Hearing this, Takashi jokingly tells her to leave his house. But she explains that if she leaves, other girls might cheat, so she will stay with Takashi to keep an eye on them. It's the kind of joke that feels 20% less like a joke every time it's told. Suddenly, they hear a voice from afar, and when Takashi goes to check, he sees the same turtle girl named Teruto standing there, offering him some food. Seeing this, Tanya narrows her suspicious eyes at her. Teruto greets Tanya as well, while Takashi starts taking the food she offers. Teruto says that this is nothing compared to the favor Takashi did for her some time ago, and that she's just here to return her favor. Tanya listens quietly from the side, watching as Teruto and Takashi become quite friendly. Interrupting them, Tanya says that the toilet paper roll had run out, so she replaced it with a new one. Takashi notices this and appreciates her effort, but then he starts chatting with Teruto. This back and forth frustrates Tanya greatly. She's 2 seconds away from inventing new crimes. Hearing this, Tanya can no longer hold back and switches into her crane mode, delivering a sharp, striking peck. Everyone is stunned at the sight. Tanya explains that she can handle things herself, and now she will show Takashi what she can do to repay her favor. This sparks a conversation between the two. In this way, they both agree on a contest, to challenge each other in a cooking show as part of repaying the favor. For the show, Takashi brings Yuzuki to his house, where she will act as the judge, while Takashi himself provides the commentary. It's hard to say that which role will cause more damage. The two girls ask who Yuzuki is, and they learn she is his classmate with a big appetite for food. In curiosity, Yuzuki asks what they are making for the cooking challenge. Takashi compliments Teruto, saying she's very good at home cooking and can prepare quite a variety, including grilled and boiled dishes. As for Tanya, he can't say much, but she mentions that she has been living at Takashi's house for over a month and has made plenty of preparations. During this, she also shares what she does when Takashi is not in his apartment. She explains that she holds all the Ailed Birds assemblies of the Southtown district at her place when Takashi is not home. She's basically running an underground feathery parliament. Hearing this, Takashi is quite shocked and finally understands why there's always such a mess when he returns. Yuzuki laughs at him and says that Takashi couldn't have noticed it himself because, well, he is Takashi. Meanwhile, Tanya also compliments Teruto, saying that her cooking really must be quite good. Tanya happily explains that every bird in this town has become her eyes and ears. She has gathered information from all of them and prepared a recipe. Takashi, still doubtful, asks if it contains any bugs or anything unsafe for humans to eat. Tanya reassures him that the recipe was taken from a peacock bird friend, so there's no need to worry, which is exactly the kind of sentence that makes people worry. She shares that the best thing about this recipe is the color and lays out different paints in front of her. Takashi suddenly tells her to stop, explaining that color doesn't mean adding paints into the food. Meanwhile, Yuzuki assumes the paints are seasonings and wonders how the taste will turn out. And now hope is the main seasoning here. At the same time, Tanya challenges Teruto, guessing she must have kept something for coloring as well. Then Teruto places her colorful dish in front, shining beautifully. Tanya's mouth drops open, and both Yuzuki and Takashi are stunned. Takashi feels quite overwhelmed seeing Tanya like this, but Tanya doesn't lose her confidence or momentum. She says she hasn't revealed everything on this page because she still has some other ideas up her sleeve. Then she places her packed recipe in front of them, adding a variety of spices and ingredients according to the peacock's idea. Seeing this, Takashi is even more stunned, curious about what Tanya will do next. Everyone's betting on accidental fire. Tanya begins adding each item, one by one, into the pot, and watching her, Yuzuki grows more excited, unsure what the final dish will taste like. Takashi tells her she should take a taste test. Seeing her bubbling, somewhat messy curry, Tanya freezes at the mention of a taste test, and Takashi shouts that she knows herself how terrible the curry looks. Teruto mentions that she has some great manila clams, and then Tanya, slightly embarrassed, steps forward and says that her crane identity got exposed while repaying the favor, and she feels that through cooking, she has successfully returned the favor. To fully return the favor, she wants to sacrifice herself in the dish. Seeing this, the atmosphere grows heavy, while Tanya tells him it's a bird joke and not to take it seriously. Takashi shouts that she shouldn't make such jokes, and she retorts that obviously, no crane knows how to cook properly, while Takashi knows that she planned this whole challenge and gave everyone the idea. Tanya shouts that this is exactly why she's doing it, because she wants to see the expression of happiness on Takashi's face. After saying this, she runs off from the house, and seeing this, Takashi tries to follow her, but Teruto goes after him. She sits under a bridge on one side, perched above with a sad expression on her face, while Teruto arrives and tries to talk to her. Tanya then tells Teruto that she's amazing because she has a lot of skill in getting up there. Teruto responds that she practices for this because she knows they don't have much time. She says that no one knows if the world will ever return to how it was, and she will have to relearn being a turtle and a crane, so she's working hard to return her favor. She knows Tanya wants the same, that whatever time is left, she should spend it with Takashi. Tanya hesitates a little but then nods in agreement. If that's the case, she should go home, and after she leaves, they all decide together that they will make a crane, and tonight's meal they will all cook together with Tanya. Statistically, more hands in the kitchen just means more casualties. Seeing Tanya at work, Takashi thinks that they are both watching a turtle crane, and he knows that Tanya, because of her hands and her wings, cannot properly grab things, and the same kind of issue exists with Teruto as well. He thinks maybe it's not that she doesn't want to return the favor, maybe it's that she couldn't. After thinking all this, he calls Tanya and tells her that as long as she's with him, he wants them to do every task together, everything she can do, and for what she cannot, he will support her. He then tells her that they should make the curry together. Even if it turns out to be a bad curry, they will face disappointment together. Relationship goals, apparently. Tanya blushes shyly and asks what he's talking about, saying she's here only to return her favor. Does he really think she's in love with him? Takashi blushes too and says it's not like that. He's just looking out for her because she's returning his favor, and in the process, love seeps into the food. Along with mild food poisoning, they all share the meal together. After the first bite, they all realize that the food is terribly awful, and Tanya thinks to herself that she will never forgive this peacock. The grudge will outlive most of her friendships. Panicking, Tanya starts talking about the food, while Takashi tells her that he knows she put in her efforts alongside him. Meanwhile, Yuzuki judges that the food isn't that terrible, just an intense flavor, and she knows that with time it will improve. Intense is a generous synonym for suspicious here. She might make better food next time, and Takashi happily adds that he knows Tanya will follow a good recipe next time. At that moment, Tanya spots a grain of rice on Takashi's lips and carefully wipes it off with her tongue, leaving everyone else watching in stunned silence. It's the kind of silence people write memoirs about. After witnessing that scene, both Tanya and Takashi blush intensely. Takashi begins to sweat nervously, while Tanya laughs and says he truly looks like a little kid. What exactly happened to cause this? Meanwhile, Yuzuki and Teruto watch the whole thing and are completely shocked. Yuzuki can't handle all this and apologizes to everyone, saying she needs to leave. Tanya, however, tells her it's not what she thinks. Being a bird, this is just her nature at this moment. She also asks Takashi why he's making such blank expressions. It is said that in this world, whatever wish is made, it comes true, but not all. Some wishes exist that are never meant to be fulfilled, like wishing curry could fix relationships. Some wishes, like going back in time, becoming the best at everything, or unrequited love, can actually exist in theory. But why do they seem real? What law or principle governs them? And why do people talk about them this way? This is just a regular inquiry into the nature of wishes and possibility. Wishing isn't a bad thing. In fact, we should wish so that our desires might come true. In our story, all the other characters have fulfilled their wishes and are living according to them. Now the question is, which wishes are about to come true next? The narrative shifts to a thought. What makes a hero? It's someone who rushes in before anyone else, who reaches those in need first. Now we enter the part of the story where a child is trapped inside a burning building. Flames rage and loud shouts echo, calling for someone to rescue the child. The neighbors, of course, are too busy recording vertical videos to actually help. On a nearby building, a bystander remarks that the child will soon be saved by an unmistakable hero. Suddenly, a figure climbs the wall toward them, wearing wire shoes that help him advance. Everyone watches in awe as it becomes clear this is the leader of the Hawk team moving forward to save the child. The crowd still can't decide if this is a rescue mission or a parkour competition. Their astonishment grows as they witness his daring approach. Alongside him, there is a cat-eared maid and a doctor, forming a trio known as the Hawk team. Everyone knows that whenever an incident occurs, this team suddenly appears from somewhere, ready to act. But a twist occurs. Another hero team arrives before the Hawk team and rescues the child from the building. Nothing hurts more than showing up late to a rescue mission. And just then the Hawk team watches in surprise, unable to intervene. Because in reality, that hero team is none other than salary men, who people greatly admire. After this incident, the Hawk team returns to their headquarters, where the leader cheers up the team, praising them for the excellent work they did. They praise each other to cheer up, but deep inside, they avoid making eye contact. It's the same energy as a group project where no one actually did the work. Suddenly, their team leader, Taka, tells them that they haven't really done anything yet. Because the good news is that the child's life is saved, and the cat-eared maid, Nanami, also feels relieved by this outcome. In deep depression, they confess to each other that 3 months have passed since the world changed, yet they haven't helped a single person. Meanwhile, the salarymen rescued the child and flew away with him. Taka wonders aloud why the child couldn't fly on his own from the balcony. Meanwhile, he fiddles with the automatic 4-wheeled shoes created by the doctor, remembering how she had insisted on making them. The first time he wore them, they both moved in different directions. He laughs at the memory, finding it nostalgic, and explains that these shoes gave him mobility equivalent to a car or a bike, granting him significant power. But still, the child learned to fly within just 5 minutes. Hearing this, he sinks deeper into depression, while Nanami consoles him, saying he shouldn't feel inadequate, because a hero shouldn't make such a face. He apologizes to her. He apologizes so often that it could be his actual superpower. But now they wonder what real heroic deeds they can perform, since the fire was already put out by someone else, and events continued even after they left. Taka stands there, reflecting that their wish has come true. The world doesn't need heroes like them. 15 years ago in middle school, his boss had made him a hero, though he hadn't done much to save anyone. Ever since, his dream had been a world where no one had to cry, and now, perhaps, that dream has finally come true. Taka sinks back into depression, muttering to himself, while Nanami stops him again. She suggests that perhaps he's excited because his heart wants a fresh start. Taka still can't shake off thoughts from his middle school days, and Nanami quiets him with a sharp remark. Yet he insists that he feels heroes are no longer needed by anyone. Meanwhile, the doctor notices on the screen that a new case has come in. It involves a new hero, reported by an eyewitness who recorded and uploaded a video. Nanami insists that they watch the video. As soon as they play the video, they see a bridge suddenly starting to crack and break, with many people on board panicking. Nearby, local boy is being moved aside to clear the area. At the same time, in another location, a new hero is preparing for action. Haruki tells his partner Rika that he has to go, people need him. As he apologizes and turns to leave, a man warns him about the rubble, assuming he wants to help, but points out that they can't do anything. But Haruki leaps in the air and vanishes. Just then, the panicking crowd notices cherry blossoms suddenly appearing, leaving everyone astonished. As they watch, petals start falling from above. The man from earlier catches a falling petal in his hand. Looking up at the sky, he notices trees rapidly growing, perhaps to support the collapsing bridge where Haruki had flown. They become hopeful of being saved. Just then, they see a slight crack in the bridge, and a girl falls from it. Rika arrives just in time, catching her safely. She then shouts at Haruki that this is the only time she is helping, telling him to hurry back so they can finish their tea. Haruki laughs and uses his cherry blossom wings to create a cherry blossom bridge. People start crossing it back and forth, and he easily saves each person from falling, guiding them safely to one side. It marks the birth of a new hero. They have started appearing frequently in this world. Heroes now pop up faster than food delivery drivers. Seeing this, the Hawk team is completely stunned. Suddenly, silence falls over the team's headquarters. After a moment, Taka shouts that he feels as if he got reincarnated, sensing that he has come into this world carrying the feeling of a loser. They start discussing the new hero team among themselves, but deep down, they know that their Hawk team amounts to nothing. The new heroes are impressively capable, and this realization troubles them greatly. At that moment, the doctor tells them that the world has changed significantly, and it seems the new heroes have already succeeded here. This isn't the first time such shifts have happened. Technological, inventive, and revolutionary changes have come before. But now the biggest difference is that common sense no longer applies. That is the reality. She asks whether all this is natural or if they are being targeted for elimination through some form of natural selection. Hearing this, both Nanami and Taka are stunned as the doctor continues speaking seriously. Nothing kills team spirit faster than being compared to natural selection. She explains that she herself does not want to be eliminated in life this way, knowing that preparation is still essential for all of them. The doctor says that she won't make a wish because she wants to remain as she was before, and asks if the two of them feel the same. Taka thinks for a moment, but when he hears their words, he is surprised because he had assumed that Nanami would have already adapted her skills to survive in this world. Nanami replies that she had thought the same, while the doctor explains that she doesn't believe she can do anything on her own. Hearing this, Taka freezes on the spot, remembering the prime of his team. The doctor says that they will soon become unnecessary, but until then, they should watch what they can accomplish because uncontrolled cases are left for the new heroes, and they and the new team are built differently. Just then, a bell rings. There is a lady they call Granny, accompanied by a few people. She gives them a basket full of food, explaining that it is a token of thanks for saving them. As usual, Taka finds everything he needs in the basket. He takes out a reddish item from the bag and sees that it has grown much bigger than before. Produce always seems to grow faster when it skips leg day. At that moment, he hears Granny's mysterious voice, telling the Hawk team leader that it's hard to explain, but they have been receiving her guidance ever since they started protecting the town. She has been saying this for many years, though recent times have been very difficult for her. Now she sees new heroes emerging in the town, and the truth is that she has already been supporting the Hawk team a great deal. But now she is giving all her support to the new heroes, and hearing this, they are completely stunned. Taka sits down on the ground, calling Granny Landlady Sama, and asks for one last opportunity. Hearing this, the mysterious Granny listens to him carefully. She responds that a hero is someone who saves people and helps them, but the Hawk team must first help themselves. Taka replies that as soon as the opportunity comes, they will prove themselves, thinking to himself that this is the principle of the world, that only the fittest survive. Unfortunately, his fitness plan hasn't made it past warm-up stretches. He promises that they will definitely surpass the new hero team and prove it to her. The scene shifts to people praising the new hero, but he refuses to take credit, saying he was just doing his job. Crowds start chanting his name, Sakuranomiya Haruki, and this fills him with a deep sense of happiness. The crowd hasn't cheered this hard since free samples vanished from the supermarket. Meanwhile, Taka is angry. Feeling that Haruki shouldn't be a hero, Nanami agrees, saying that this guy has stolen Taka's statement, while the doctor suggests that they should confront him in person, since last time their endorsement was lost. Back at their office, they sit together, thinking hard about what they should do to prove they are better than the new hero. The doctor points out that while many of them have counterparts, none possess the ability to manipulate cherry blossoms like Haruki. Since it is literally cherry blossom power, it's quite versatile. Nanami and Taka get furious. Taka wonders aloud if there's truly nothing only they can do. He believes there must be at least one thing they're uniquely capable of. At that moment, Nanami mentions the name Phantom Black Dream, with whom they have battled for years. Hearing this, Taka freezes on the spot. Nanami explains that the new hero party can't do anything against it because Black Dream can manipulate people's hearts, and young heroes cannot face it. Taka agrees with this, but his mind is thinking of something else. He tells them that he knows Black Dream better than anyone because he knows her methods and how she instills fear. He has been a close friend of hers. They are like two sides of the same coin, so now no one will be able to defeat them. At that moment, a sudden sound catches everyone's attention, putting them on alert. Nanami senses that Black Dream herself has arrived, and this time she will be different from before. Taka reassures them, saying that no matter how much the world changes, it'll never be the way one wants. He tells them that some time ago, he and Black Dream had met at a pub, and she had mentioned that she was getting married, basically a rejection to him, which had left Taka quite surprised. She says that it's already been a long time and wonders how long she will remain Phantom. She wanted to change herself along with the world. Taka asks if that's alright, and she replies that she wishes he had caught her earlier, then laughs, saying she's just kidding, and walks away. Villains always manage to flirt mid-crime, like it's part of the job description. Sitting there, Taka feels troubled, thinking that he had brought special handcuffs today, wishing he could have caught her. Meanwhile, the doctor and Nanami have no idea what he is thinking and are shocked, wondering if he had that kind of relationship with Black Dream. Taka ignores their questions. Meanwhile, in search of enemies, Nanami contacts various security officers, asking about threats. They all tell her that all legal organizations have been eliminated and that there are no enemies left. According to Taka, the greatest loss is their own. Nothing boosts morale like reminding your team they're basically obsolete. Nanami grows sad, and when Taka asks, explains that it's not that way, but they have been through many tough fights. Still, for this town, it hasn't been enough. She feels that this is truly the end of their era, and she feels alone, knowing that she couldn't do much better. Taka says that they would never survive by only talking about their enemies. A hero isn't made until he hardens his heart. Seeing this, Nanami begins to think that Taka is on the path to becoming the next Phantom, so she tells him not to engage in such evil deeds. He assures her that he won't, but he feels that now, to protect the town, the new hero party, the rookies will not have love trouble. Meanwhile, Taka sinks into depression and starts messing with the engagement device that had been brought for Black Dream. His team members immediately stop him, saying he shouldn't do such a thing, because a hero should never act that way. Wherever he looks, he sees couples everywhere, and seeing this deepens his rejection-fueled depression. Then his eyes fall on Haruki, and he is surprised. Though it seems like a coincidence, he had actually wanted to meet Haruki himself. But just then, a massive explosion occurs above, drawing everyone's attention. They have no idea where such a huge blast came from or what caused it. The Hawk team reacts quickly, with Taka giving instructions to the doctor and Nanami to secure their positions and, while assessing the situation, evacuate the people from the area. He heads toward the building using his variable automatic four-wheel shoes to save the people. But even faster, Haruki and Rika arrive, moving ahead to help. Seeing this, Taka feels a bit frustrated that his shoes aren't as fast. It's the superhero version of being stuck with slow Wi-Fi. The doctor reassures him, saying it's a good thing, because at least the engine in his shoes won't explode. Taka sits at the corner of a building, reporting to the doctor that he doesn't smell any gunpowder or gasoline from the explosion. She explains that it could have happened spontaneously from someone's wish, since the clock tower present here had also appeared because of someone's wish. Hearing this, Taka is even more astonished, but then he hears a sound. Right behind the building, an ugly man is confessing that he sees couples everywhere and is thinking in his heart that he wants to explode all of them. Hearing this, the doctor asks what Taka is talking about, but Taka explains that he isn't saying this, someone else nearby is. He then notices that the new heroes are standing close by, listening to the man confess his thoughts. At that moment, the man starts trembling, saying that all this is too unfair, because all of them know that his recklessness caused such a huge explosion. Taka watches all of this, while the new hero team is also talking with the man. At that moment, Taka descends from the building, and through a communicator, the doctor consoles the man, telling him that if he feels regret for what he did, that's a good sign. Taka keeps watch, thinking that the man must have understood by now, and tells him that if he's feeling shame after causing such a huge explosion, it's natural, because he knows the man never intended to harm anyone. He tells the man clearly that if he is feeling regret, that's a good thing, and he knows this is exactly the moment things went wrong, but he will fix everything. Meanwhile, Nanami steps forward to inform him that she has completed the evacuation of all the people. Now he starts thinking about moving forward, while behind him he sits quietly, apologizing through his tears. Taka prepares for action while the doctor gives him real-time reports. Just as he is about to move, Haruki stops him and says that he wants to introduce himself. He tells Taka that he will be observing his actions today. Hearing this, Taka immediately becomes tense. He tells Taka that he isn't very skilled at saving people and doesn't know how to handle it well, and that today he will be observing him. Taka replies that he isn't that special, but if he truly wants to observe him, he can compare himself using his full variable automatic shoes at full speed. The other nods and says he will do it. As they watch, Haruki uses his cherry blossom manipulating power to save the people there with incredible speed. Taka can only stand and watch, feeling jealous of his ability. Taka sits on the ground, sinking into worry, thinking that all this is too unfair. Nanami shouts at him again, telling him he shouldn't be thinking like that. Meanwhile, Taka mentions that the boy with the cherry blossom ability can do anything with his power, and Taka feels that now both of them will handle this entire situation much more effectively. Taka laughs as he watches Haruki, thinking that he seems completely in control. It's the laugh of someone realizing their competition didn't even break a sweat. He can see that Haruki rescued the people very quickly, even in such a messed up place, and brought them into safe hands. Taka feels that even if they weren't around, the town would still remain safe. Taka further says that he feels he should retire, because if it was for someone else's sake, they would wish for such abilities for themselves. Nanami is also feeling quite depressed, but suddenly the doctor reports that something wrong is happening here. She explains that the rubble of the clock tower is literally disappearing on its own. Taka asks what she means by disappearing, and she tells him that this wish-created structure is slowly fading and vanishing from here. He is astonished, trying to understand the reason, when suddenly the words of that same man from before come to his mind. Meanwhile, Haruki is saving the remaining people, as many are trapped, but suddenly, while being lifted in the air, his ability stops working. Seeing this, Taka shouts at him, and Rika also tells Haruki to use his cherry blossom ability, but he begins to fall to the ground. At that moment, using Nanani's special weapon as support, Taka saves him from falling with his variable shoes and carries him to a safe spot. Haruki, flustered, begins to talk about his ability that's causing issues, but Taka quickly cuts in, urging him to focus and do his best as always. As they race toward the clock tower, Taka suddenly asks, was all of this set in motion by his wish? Nanami reassures him it wasn't. The doctor elaborates, the tower won't disappear because the wish and its creator are now locked in a battle. Taka reflects quietly. This world is insane. No matter how many people a hero saves, it never feels like enough, but even so, he loves it. The roar of his powerful, volatile engine that could blow at any moment, the rush of racing with his variable shoes like a car or motorcycle, the thrill of making new inventions with the doctor, the childlike joy upon coming up with new techniques. He genuinely enjoyed every second of it. There's no pressure because he isn't forcing anything, he's doing what he loves, and now people are thanking him with tears in their eyes. It feels like, maybe for the first time, he's truly succeeded. Maybe this is it, he thinks. Maybe this is where I belong, a place he'd never want to leave, ironic, considering most of his plans revolve around quitting. As praise pours in, Rika quietly ponders if it's fine to tell Hawk-san something important, that he's always been Haruki's hero ever since the day he saved Haruki as a child. Haruki turns to Taka and inwardly promises, everything's okay for now, but someday I'll work hard enough to stand beside you, because no matter what changes, you'll always be my coolest hero. For once, Taka finally receives some fan recognition that isn't from his landlord. Because in the end, maybe that's how a hero is made, by being the first to reach out, the first to help. Later, Taka hands the landlord his rent along with the rookie's photos. She's overjoyed. But then something unexpected happens. Black Dream appears. Taka is shocked. She is expecting his help. After turning him down, Nanami urges him not to panic. Black Dream reveals her past. She was once a phantom and committed terrible sins. But now she's here with a single plea. She wants Taka to save her husband. Taka listens, his face unreadable. Then without hesitation he moves, carrying her and her husband from building to building, ready to do whatever it takes. Even now, he questions himself. Do I even want to be a hero? But Haruki watches him with admiration, heart full. He already knows the answer. Now the focus shifts to the people affected by the UFO incident, where we see a professor dedicated to a quest. He is trying to find those wishes that cannot come true, and to search for them, he has set up his own proper investigation. Among the upcoming wishes, there is one belonging to the professor's assistant, who hopes that the professor will fall in love with her, but it never happens, yet she has stayed by the professor's side all these years. Loyalty this strong usually comes with a subscription. Yamabuki Kiriya is an ordinary second-year high school student, except for one thing: she's in love with her professor. Her feelings began 9 years ago, when he saved her from a dangerous man. Since then, her love has only grown, even though he's never returned her feelings. Honestly, if this were a Netflix show, it would have been canceled seasons ago. Still, Kiriya stays by his side, assisting him with his research and determined to uncover the world's mysteries, believing that one day her wish to marry him will come true. Now she tells him with confidence, they'll solve these mysteries together, and she'll be there every step of the way. In a university classroom, Kiriya and the professor sit together, calmly analyzing what types of wishes can or cannot be real. They determine that going back in time, returning to one's younger self, or restoring broken things to their original form, those have already happened. But the wish to become the best can't be permanent. Why? Because someone else can always wish to become the best next. Then comes the hardest type, unrequited love, a wish to make someone love you. Kiriya asks why that wish, despite being so common, can't be fulfilled. The professor replies, yes, it's common, like losing socks in the laundry. Upset, Kiriya starts rambling emotionally. The professor gently explains his theory. No one can change another person's memories, eliminate a rival, or force someone to love them through a wish. Wishes that control others simply don't come true. Kiriya insists that wanting someone to fall in love isn't manipulation. but the professor responds that if wishes like that were possible, the world would have ended long ago. Frustrated, Kiriya asks if he's ever felt truly attached to anyone. He calmly says he understands she's talking about love stories. She covers her face, embarrassed, realizing he knows nothing about love. But maybe that's what makes him feel so innocent to her, like a puppy. Still, she doesn't want anyone else coming along to steal him away. Puppies are cute, but they chase every stick they see. Wanting to shift gears, the professor calls someone waiting outside into the room. It's Kotaru, who shares that his wish to fly has already come true. He offers this up for the professor's research. Kiriya is caught off guard. She was just about to calm down when Kotaru suddenly walks in. Now she starts worrying that Kotaru might steal the professor from her. She warns the professor to stay away from Kotaru, calling him dangerous. The professor, unfazed, tells her to stay focused. Afterward, they all leave the university. Kiriya apologizes to Kotaru for acting out earlier. He brushes it off, saying it wasn't a big deal. As they walk, Kotaru mentions he overheard the professor talking about unfulfillable wishes. They begin discussing the professor, and Kiriya thanks Kotaru for helping with the research. She also shares something personal. She hasn't found anyone who truly understands her story yet. She says she's looking for stories where a person's core, who they really are, is tied to their wish. Too often, people do things they don't actually want to do, like signing up for gym memberships in January. That's why in her eyes, knowing others' wishes isn't always a good thing. Some things are better left untouched. Still, she continues the research, because deep down, she hopes it will lead to her own wish being fulfilled, to marry the professor. She tells Kotaru that many people make wishes that never come true, but she believes their research will lead to something incredible. After all, the UFO crash was no ordinary event. It might have a larger purpose behind it. Kotaru listens, amazed. He came here to help, but instead, he's the one learning extraordinary things. And she just wants to know how she can manipulate the professor's wish. Hearing this, Kotaru is quite shocked that she wants to perform human experimentation. After that, she asks Kotaru about it, but he tells her that she keeps repeating the same point in a nagging way, only making it worse, and that she should not call it research. Yet Kiriya walks away saying that she will definitely try that unrequited love wish herself, wanting to verify for herself whether it can be fulfilled or not. Kotaru becomes quite worried, but Kiriya explains that she is only going to examine the unrequited love wish. Since she hasn't told the professor anything more about it, he understands that she is merely going to provide results from the experiment, and she gives Kotaru a brief explanation about it to help him understand. Now Kotaru asks how she plans to fulfill a wish that involves another person. She explains that if she manipulates someone else's wish, it might work. These words shock Kotaru, but she clarifies that it depends on how the person making the wish is wishing, and then she explains that once in the professor's restroom, she had sneaked in and tried to be around him by lightly teleporting, but during that moment, the professor sprinkled salt on her. Since she didn't understand why, Kotaru explains to Kiriya that the professor must have thought she was some evil spirit. Kotaru asks her if she is talking about teleporting. Did she really wish for that? She explains that when someone is deeply in love, nothing is impossible, and they can climb any wall, no matter how high. She then recounts another incident where she tried to make hand contact with the professor, knowing that it would transmit through their heads, and their bodies would connect from above like magnets. But even here, the professor didn't react. Instead, he asked her if this was a magnetic force. Kiriya asks if this is really an examination of the professor's unrequited love, and she feels quite awkward about the whole situation. Kotaru asks how it all went, and she replies that she had found the professor's hand touch very attractive, but still couldn't get any reaction from him. She mentioned that she had tried to seduce the professor and play with his desires, confident that she could control his desires according to her own will. Sadly, his deepest desire is still a quiet lab and accurate data. She tells him that, to make her attempt successful, one day she went up to the professor from behind and hugged him. Hearing this, Kotaru panics, but she explains that the professor wasn't affected at all and treated her like a physics formula, which she still cannot digest. Nothing crushes romance like being reduced to an equation. Crying, Kiriya says that all her efforts have gone to waste, but Kotaru asks if she can directly ask the professor what he likes. Kiriya explains that the professor once told her he really likes triangular flasks and finds their curves quite attractive. Hearing this, Kotaru also panics, and Kiriya bursts into tears, saying that after 9 years of hard work, she will not lose to a triangular flask. Few love triangles are this literal. At that moment, Kotaru excuses himself. He goes straight to the university and brings up the whole matter with the professor, who replies that it is impossible because he is an adult and in his eyes, Kariya is still a child. He further says that he is a professor and she is his assistant, so who spread such a ridiculous rumor? This reminds Kotaru of his own story with his crush, but he tells the professor that perhaps he hasn't realized that kids are growing up much faster now. And just then, they see something approaching through the window, coming closer until suddenly the window bursts open. Glass shatters everywhere, crashing into the office, and a huge mess spreads across the room. And just then, Kariya's lips accidentally touch against Kotaru's, as if fate itself pulls them into this moment. Now floating in the air, she declares that her body will apply the magnetism formula on its own. Seeing this, Kotaru tells the professor to run away from there, because the impact can cause something bad to happen. Kariya's body moves on its own in the air, so Kotaru warns her to protect herself before she crashes into the wall. But Kariya asks why this is happening to her. First she started teleporting, then magnetism, and now levitation. Her body keeps doing everything that comes to her heart, yet there's only one thing she can't pull close, the person she loves. He doesn't notice her at all, and she wonders why this one thing alone is going wrong for her. Kotaru warns the professor, but Kariya slips and crashes into him, falling on top of him. The moment feels impossible to her, as if no wish she ever made could truly come true. He steadies Kariya, telling her she's a beautiful woman and should be confident. No man could resist her if she truly tried. He awkwardly admits she's attractive, then quickly backtracks, saying it's her personality he admires, blaming it on a slip of the tongue. Kariya laughs through her tears, knowing she'll never forget this moment. In her heart, one thought remains: she knows people are greedy, yet she wishes he'd see only her, stay with her, and belong to her completely. To her, this is a wonderland. Then, without hesitation, she steps forward and kisses him, long and deep, believing with all her heart that no wish is impossible. After witnessing this relationship, Kotaru thinks he came here for research and ended up third-wheeling a romance. Yet seeing her, his heart feels strangely happy, and he tells himself that maybe there really is nothing that cannot become true. And as he leaves, he keeps thinking in his heart that he hopes Akogi-san will also be fine. But on the way, a man that stops in and asks where he is coming from. He explains that he had gone to help a college professor named Kibushi with his research. Kotaru freezes on the spot when the guard tells him no professor by that name exists in the university. His mind races back to what Kariya had warned him, that there's a box he must never open, because searching inside it would only drag him towards something he should never try to find. Humans, of course, have a 100% track record of opening boxes they shouldn't. He learns that the place where he met the professor has been closed for years, untouched by anyone. Realizing this, one thought fills his mind. This is a wonderland, where anything can happen, and any wish can come true. Elsewhere, Kariya and the professor sit together, deep in conversation, both wondering what wish they should ask for next.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.